What's going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Friday, November 3rd, 2023. Believe it or not, this is wild. We're in the 11th month of a 12-month year. Just seems unfair. Time flies. It is what it is, but I'm stoked. We're going to break down the card here for Crown Jewel top to bottom, and I am riding with a sweet crew. We got the triple C's plus an A, triple A like car help we had in my driveway with the guy that I'm introducing first from Orange County, just like me, Carter Crisp. How's the tire doing, and how are you on this fine Friday afternoon?
We got a brand new tire. The car is driving well. I drove it to school and back yesterday. So we're doing great. We got a great pay-per-view. It's the, another one in Saudi Arabia after last week. There's some sort of season, I think. So excited to be talking about, another great combat sports event with Crown Jewel. I think we're going to have some surprises, and I think I'm going to deliver some of those surprises today.
Ooh, I cannot wait. And we got already in the comments, Matt Williams. Shout out, Matt Williams. Yo, how are you, Matt Williams? Good to hear from you. But we've also got on the panel all the way from Philly, the A amongst the triple C's here. Anthony Ricciardi, head of opinions. How are you doing on this Friday? Working double duty after yesterday's Throwback Thursday.
Yeah, it's rare when I do back-to-back shows. I'm looking forward to talking about it. It's another controversial Saudi show that WWE gets paid a lot of money for, but we should have some fun talking about this card.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun card to talk about, and I'm excited to break it down. And speaking of breaking it down, we've also got our head of reviewing from all the way up in Canada. Coby G, what's up, dude?
You mentioned it, breaking it down. I was prepared to go DX mode on all of you, but yeah, we are here. It is Crown Jewel weekend, and obviously it's a much different time than the normal pay-per-views or PLEs that are in the States. It's earlier on in the day. It's prime time for our UK friends, so Ben will be happy, but I'm just glad he's not here to predict a failed cash-in. Or another Damien Priest cash-in, like he always does.
I absolutely love it. I hear you too. And we've also got Bobby Petito in the comments with a hello, guys. Let's dive right in here. Let's talk about Seth Rollins versus McIntyre for the world title. There's been a lot of conjecture, around the wrestling community, media-wise, about does Drew deserve this? Is Seth's run getting a little stale? I kind of think we're in middle ground here. I'm excited for the match, but really unsure of where we go with it. I'm going to toss it straight out of the gates to you, Anthony. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Who do you have winning? And how do you feel about just the rivalry as a whole and the future for both?
I loved the promo package that they aired Monday for Drew. I thought that was a nice build for this. Drew taking on a heel run, I think, is a smart play. I don't know how much time he has left, if, what his situation is contract-wise. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. Seth's reign, to me, it's always a tricky situation when you have two world titles in the company and both of them are having long reigns. But in Seth's case, he's trying to build a legacy or a legitimacy to a new world title, which is always a tricky thing. And in a lot of ways, I think they're building it the same way AEW did with the international title with Orange, that Seth's barely getting by, and his body's breaking down. The last few with Nakamura, the focus was on the back. Seth squeaking by, I think, makes sense. I don't think Drew's going to win this. I do think Seth's going to retain, especially because of the uncertainty. Like I said, with Drew, whether or not they would do a cash in, I don't see that happening at this show. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think the cash in is going to work the way people think it's going to work. I think it may come into play the whole, oh, JD gave him a new fancy Money in the Bank briefcase. Do we know if the contract's actually in that briefcase? Could Finn have the real contract in the old briefcase? Could they have switched it and screwed him over?
That's a really excellent question, and I'm not totally sure how I even would answer that, because it's a great that's a tough one to debate. Coby, I'm going to toss it to you next. What do you think about that and this match as a whole, and what's your prediction?
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure they have shown it is in the new briefcase, because they have opened it up before. At least I'm pretty sure that they have. But I just don't see the cash in tonight if there is one to think about. I don't think it happens here. I know we've seen the teases from Rhea Ripley, like, oh, if either of them make the right choice, they'll be able to walk out as champion. I don't know. But that's the thing, is I agree with the statement that they are trying to build this World Heavyweight Championship. They're trying to build a legacy. They're trying to make it feel important. And it's incredibly hard when you have the mid-card champion in Gunther that is having such a historic and prestigious reign for the IC Championship. He's on that Mount Rushmore of IC champions already with this one reign. And at the end of the day, I think I don't know if I see Drew McIntyre winning, because if we look at the character progression, we've seen Drew kind of be like, okay, if it's not my business, I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to be the guy to willingly throw myself into situations. He's talked about things being his business, especially regarding the championship and regarding other beatdowns that have happened. Do I see Drew McIntyre going further heel or further along into a story or a character development? I do. I think that loss in this scenario is what continues to move him along. So I do think Seth gets the win here, but I'm going to ask the same question again that I've asked since SummerSlam. If Seth Rollins wins, what's next? I assume he's involved in a potential War Games match if they do a War Games match at Survivor Series. But what title wise? Where you did these two mini rivalries in the Shinsuke and now Drew McIntyre, and you're putting them right back into a Judgment Day feud. I don't know. I hope it doesn't get stale, because I think Seth has done a great job and he's doing a phenomenal job selling his back and selling the fact that he's a fighting champion, and he's been doing that, and he's succeeded.
I hear you there, and great shout about. I agree. I really hope it doesn't get stale, because Seth, I feel like, has really earned this opportunity to carry this belt the way he has, and the comparisons to Roman Reigns are almost too easy at times, and I think that's kind of unfair to Seth Rollins. It's the nature of the beast in WWE right now, because of the way that Roman is carrying that WWE Universal Championship, right? But it's almost unfair to Seth in that sense, I think. And I agree with you. I hope it doesn't get stale. He's also my pick personally, but I'm going to toss it to you, Carter. Who do you have in this match winning, and where do we go from here with the world title?
I mean, honestly, I was thinking about it, and I just got a B in a pretty hard class, and I feel pretty good about it. I feel like with this title, the WWE is doing a pretty good job of booking Rollins. They're not doing like They're not excelling like they're doing with Gunther or, in my opinion, the Alpha Academy, but they're booking it pretty good. Like all things considering that you have a secondary title and you have 2 titles on a guy who you don't, see as much. So I mean, I think they're doing a decent job of building up Seth Rollins and building up the secondary title. But if you want me to play devil's advocate, why not? Drew Galloway, Drew McIntyre, he showed up at that rec center in Rosita, so I'm going to give him my hometown favorite. I mean, honestly, story-wise, it really doesn't make sense. It would be too quick to take the title off of Seth Rollins. But a reason, too, is because, I mean, Drew McIntyre would make a great champion. I mean, he's big, he's strong, he's an amazing wrestler. I mean, he's imposing in the ring. He's amazing on the mic. I mean, these are all reasons to. I know it's kind of hard to see it, considering he did lose to Gunther in the Intercontinental title. So all of a sudden he's the world champion after losing the middle championship. But I mean, he would be a great champion. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'll just give him my official prediction. Why not?
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love this segment. It's cracking me up. And we've got some great comments here from first Bobby Petito with an awesome suggestion, which is Seth Rollins should wrestle against Sami Zayn or Jey Uso at Survivor Series. I'm cool with both. I'm cooler with Sami Zayn personally, but I don't mind either or. And Matt Williams, shout out Carter for the B. Proud of you, my G. A's are for nerds.
Yep.
That cracks me up. That is golden, Matt. And he had a funny comment earlier, too, about he's gotten back into independent wrestling because, honestly, the botches, the green wrestlers, and the weird crowds, and et cetera, are fun. I'm with him on that. And he gave me the appreciation because I answered him in the comments on our baseball question. But it's not about that necessarily, even though it was fun while it lasted. Let's now dive actually into – let's get away from the world title picture. It's starting to get too muddy at this point. Let's go straight into Cena versus Solo Sikoa. And this is one of those ones for me that is comedy gold in some senses. John Cena versus Solo Sikoa, the enforcer of the bloodline. And we've got history. I mean, mad history with the Samoan Spike. Never used it. I've mentioned it on the show before. Now it's time to see it again. My favorite John Cena match of all time, Cena Umaga, Rumble, 07, Last Man Standing. This is one that I think needs to be vicious, and I'm not sure John Cena is ready to do that because he's here because of, and we well know, the writers and actors strike in Hollywood. That's why he's here. And as excited as I want to be about this match, I don't know what to think because this is a guy who didn't go down to the Samoan Spike in my lifetime. I watched it already. And that's the inevitable end to this match in my eyes. Anthony, do you see anything else here, storytelling wise, that we can, I don't know, hang our hats on outside of, I guess he gets redemption for Umaga?
I agree with you, Clark. My thought immediately goes to his feud with Umaga. And this is a situation where they're trying to give Cena sympathy. Oh, I haven't won a match in 2000-something days or whatever. You haven't been there. You've been acting. Also, you're a 16-time world champion. I don't have sympathy that you haven't won a match in 2000-something days. I don't care. At this point in your career, you're future Hall of Famer. It's just a matter of what year you go in. It's not a question of whether or not you're going to go in. You should be putting the younger talent over. He should have put Umaga over back then. Put Solo over now. Don't just make him look strong. You need to lose. I don't know if they're going to do that because of where the show's taking place, but honestly, Solo should pick up the win here. That's my opinion.
I agree. I do think it logically, and that's, I think, It's interesting too because we got a few comments here. We've got number one Superfly. Shout out number one Superfly. In order to progress the eventual split of the bloodline, I'm predicting John Cena wins. I actually think the eventual split is bolstered more by the Sikoa win, like you said there, Anthony, than a Cena win, only because I don't think Cena is there when the split happens.
I don't think you can plan to book Cena long term because he straight up has said the moment that strike ends, he's out the door. So I don't really think it's going to play a role long term in this storyline. But a win, if Solo could pick up the win, he might be able to benefit from it. Now, Austin Theory picked the win at Mania, did nothing for him.
Right.
But Solo, if Cena can deliver, because Cena did not deliver at that Mania, and he pre-buried Theory. We talked about it on air, Clark. We said,
right, even
if Theory won, Cena buried him so bad in the lead up, there was nothing that could unbury him.
And then the match was underwhelming.
Yes.
So, on the better of the two nights.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the opening match.
Right.
Of Mania.
It's fascinating. We got another great comment though here from Bobby Petito. Shout out Bobby. And he said, I'm interested in this match between John Cena and Sikoa, and I do want to correct myself from earlier. Not correct myself, but just to be clear, I'm interested as well. I would say, Bobby, I'm just more nervous than anything about the result being something that's like too telegraphed or too obvious, where it doesn't hold up to what it should and could be, because I think the story that got us here is excellent. And to see Cena versus Sikoa in a ring on that stage is outstanding in and of itself, right? I'm appreciative of that, but I'm just worried that this is one of those ones that could slightly underwhelm only because of the predictability factor.
I would have leaned more into he's avenging Umaga. Like, I think you could have played more up to that.
Yes.
The whole, I haven't won a match in 2,000 days. I don't care. Like that. Like, where's the sympathy there? There's no sympathy needed for that. You have 16. You're called the GOAT in WWE. You haven't won a match. Like, but really?
And of course, we all remember Cena for his United States Championship reigns, or the big one with the Open Challenge. So that leads us to our next segment here. Let's talk about Mysterio versus Logan Paul for the U.S. title. Coby, what in the world? Quantify this one for me.
Like, see, this is one of those matches. It's just like it has the potential to deliver. I mean, like that's the thing. Ray isn't necessarily lacking or losing his ability. Ray's still delivering to a degree, and Ray's one heck of a talent at the age he is, and he's still delivering on the level he's used to, where he is now. He had a really good bang and a solid banger with Santos Escobar. And now this is the exact opposite, because now he almost has to carry Logan. Santos is someone who could carry his own because he has the experience. Logan, I think this is match 8, maybe 9. I don't know exactly. But I mean, he's just coming off of a boxing win, but he didn't take that much of a beating. But Rey Mysterio versus Logan Paul is odd, because this is a match that's like, I don't know. I can't even see either of them losing. Like, I mean, Rey Mysterio can lose because he's a legend. He doesn't need to go over. But then it's the same. It's kind of the same situation. Logan Paul doesn't need a U.S. title. Logan Paul can have a title in the future, but I don't want to say it has to be the mid-card title, because if we're looking at the PLE schedule, we have Survivor Series and we have the Royal Rumble. There's a big gap. It's about a 2-month gap between the two of them, and that would almost be we're missing a title on SmackDown if Logan Paul's the champion. I understand there's kind of an already written in program that we could do with Logan Paul and Ricochet, because Ricochet got screwed. He wants his revenge. Ricochet also wants revenge against the Judgment Day. Blah blah blah. I just don't know what I see because Logan Paul could wrestle at Survivor Series, but is Logan Paul a transitional champion? I would not say he's a transitional champion. He shouldn't be a transitional champion if you're going to put the title on him. I don't see who you give it to because if you give it to Ricochet, Ricochet's a raw talent. Yes, you can do the whole like the brand split matters. Oh, Ricochet's going to go to SmackDown because he's the champion, and Raw gets a pick from SmackDown. Like you can do all that, even though they've treated the brand split like nothing. Yes, they have GMs now, which I like, but I just don't. There's a lot of kind of holes of like what happens after this match. I think this is going to be a bad match. No, I don't. I think it can be it could be a sleeper match of the show. Logan Paul's delivered in every single match. So is Rey Mysterio. Rey has the capability to deliver with Logan Paul, and I do think he will. But I just don't know what happens after. If I have to give a prediction, I do see Logan Paul with the title.
I love the prediction because I totally agree. And we've got some comments here. One first from Numero One Superfly, which is for the United States Championship match. I'm predicting Logan Paul wins the match. Wouldn't mind if Rey wins, just thinking Logan could be arrogant on all of social media and get people to watch WWE. And then our good friend Josh Markowitz, big shout out to Josh Markowitz. Logan winning the title is massive for WWE. Bringing that title around his podcast, interviews, etc., will allow for new viewers. He should 100% win. We also have one more comment from Bobby Batito. Rey Mysterio should lose the title to Santos Escobar or Bobby Lashley. So now I'm going to talk about it just for a second. I think that the United States title is great, but it's in a position that ironically the Intercontinental title was in 8 years ago, where it's lost some luster. Feels a little dusty. And I'm not talking roads, but it feels a little dusty compared to what it used to feel like. I like the Bobby Lashley idea from Bobby Batito. I also agree with elevating the title by bringing it on the podcast. The problem we have right now is I think outside of just the podcast reach, it's a little like Roman Reigns given Logan Paul's schedule. And that makes me nervous. That's something I'm not sure about. I don't know what is the answer on this one. But I do know it would be nice to see that title elevated. Because we've done a lot of complaining, and not to knock this back to AEW, but about the TNT title and hot potatoing and all of that. This belt needs some shine. This belt needs some extra. It needs a buffing, to say the least, is what I would say. And that's not Rey Mysterio's fault. That's not anybody that's carried its fault. And that's not to knock title reigns, but it's historic for a mid-card belt. It is. It's the U.S. title, and I would love to see it done justice, no matter what, whether it's Logan or Rey who wins. My prediction, Logan Paul's our United States champion, unfortunately. I will say that. But
just to quickly back off of that, we talk about elevation with the title. And obviously this is jumping the gun. I don't know what's next for LA Knight if he loses.
Yeah.
Is that a Logan Paul feud for WrestleMania for the U.S. title?
Now you're talking, Coby. That is an outstanding suggestion.
That's what I've been saying. You need to get the belt off of Rey because he's a babyface. Logan being the heel, and he could do the public appearances like Bad Bunny did with the 24/7 title. LA Knight's the smart move because you're not going to give him the title from Roman. So I think you could have a decent run with him against Logan and give the belt to him. I think this leads to LA Knight with the US title, but you have to get the belt off of Ray
Yep.
to make it work.
And carries it for a long time too.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that is an outstanding call, Coby. I love that. And with that, let's actually move on to a wild subject here. Maybe my favorite subject of the night. And I would ask, what do you want to talk about? But we all know it's Cody Rhodes and it's Damian Priest. I'm going to toss this around the horn like I work for ESPN, but I don't. But I'm going to toss it around the horn. We got Cody. And we got the guy with the briefcase. What are we going to do about it? I don't know. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to say. I don't know who I predict. I'm going to toss it straight to you, Coby, actually first. Coby, what do you think about this one?
And I mean, I talked about this on Tuesday, and I mean, I think Cody really sold us this match with that one promo with the closing shot, accusing Damian of walking behind Dominic Mysterio. Of course, that's going to hit hard to Damian. But I'm sitting here, and I said this on Tuesday, and I'm still agree with the sentiment. I don't think you can prove Cody Rhodes right. Damian Priest shouldn't be the least important member of the Judgment Day, and that was Finn Balor for a bit, and he almost feels like that way now because he does, like, aside from his dynamic of he hates JD McDonough, Finn Balor at least has the Judgment Day, and he also has his relationship with JD, and there's a lot more in Finn Balor, and I believe Finn Balor was the least important earlier this year. Now they are almost booking Damian as the least important. And I think you can't sit there and tell Cody Rhodes you're right with having Cody Rhodes beat Damian Priest. The only way this makes sense is if Damian does take the loss, something happens, and maybe Damian cashes in on Cody Rhodes after Cody beats Roman at WrestleMania. Maybe that happens. Maybe that's the direction. I have no idea. But this, I do not. Cody Rhodes is already working an injured leg. If you want to continue to roll with that, I think they are going to. An injured leg. I think the move is Damian Priest with the victory here. I do not see a reason for Cody Rhodes to win this match because he's not going to get hurt by it. But I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what's to come here.
I hear you there too. I'm confused as well. And I loved what you mentioned about the importance of Damian Priest and who's the least important, who's the most important Judgment Day. That's where, and I've been trying to preach it for a little bit now. I feel like this is a group that's outgrown each other. Rhea Ripley deserves better. And especially the most interesting thing to me, though, is I look at the group and I go, who's being elevated by being in that group? It's really only Dom. And I'm tired of him. And I hate to say that. Carter, I'm going to toss it to you next. Do you have similar feelings? And just what are your thoughts in general on this Damian Priest Cody Rhodes match? That it's Judgment Day 101, I guess.
Yeah, I think the main criticism of any faction is when the wrestlers, when you wish you could see them outside of the faction. And I'm sorry, as a New Japan guy, I kind of feel that way about Finn Balor. I mean, Damian Priest to me is another guy like Drew McIntyre. I mean, that's why he has the briefcase. He could be a great champion. I actually think, Clark, this is a little bit of advice for you. I know you can be a little biased against Cody. I think this is going to be a great wrestling match. I think this is going to be, you got two rock solid wrestlers. I think it's going to be fun, but my one criticism is the storytelling. It was like how I did in the class, maybe a little. It's like kind of C+, B- storytelling. I mean, I think it's kind of, it kind of seems like it's dream booking. Like this guy and this guy would be great in a wrestling match, and yeah, they're kind of feuding, but it is kind of random. There's kind of no title implications. Anyone could win or anyone could lose, but I mean, it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be great. So, Clark, relax. Cody's going to put on a decent match, and you're going to have to give him around 4 stars, I think.
Okay, a 4-star match. Do you have a prediction on that one? Hit the 4 stars is. I'm not rating it, but I'm just saying. I mean, that's steep. What do you think, Anthony?
I think it's going to be a decent match. The talent involved can definitely pull off a decent match. I do think Cody's going to pull out the win. It may not be clean. Maybe JD plays a role, maybe screws up something that costs him the match. What they could do, in theory, if they want to continue this, because Cody's on this run now. He's passed the Brock test, where the presumption is this may lead to the WrestleMania 40 match with Roman. I know there's been a lot of people concerned, would they do a repeat and have Cody win the Rumble? What they could do, if they continue this Damian feud, have Damian put the briefcase up. If Cody wins the briefcase, that solves your problem to get Cody his WrestleMania match. I know it takes the briefcase off Damian, but quite frankly, it's not Damian's time. He could still take the belt off of Seth. He doesn't need the briefcase for that. So honestly, that's where I think it goes. I think Cody picks up the win, and if this does continue, that may be a path to go to get you to Roman.
Yeah, I hear you there. I mean, please don't do a repeat Rumble, right?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we saw Edge take the briefcase off Mr. Kennedy, so there is precedent there to do it.
It's just a wild move.
Miz took it off Otis.
Yeah, that was a BS thing. I don't count that. That's not a match. That wasn't a match. That was
Kennedy was diagnosed.
Hang on, we have a comment here from our good friend Bobby Petito.
Same thing.
Bobby, I laid out this exact scenario the week after WrestleMania last year, and I couldn't agree more. That's what happens. He's in Elimination Chamber, and it gets down to just him and Solo. And that moment where Solo realizes it's just him and Cody, and he's the last remaining loyal bloodline member, Solo is. And he realizes he's stuck in there with Cody Rhodes. That is how we get to the Cody deserves it. Cody headed to Mania, proving himself, beating Solo one-on-one, surviving the Elimination Chamber one-on-one as the final 2 remaining in that match. I laid that scenario out in May of this year, and I stand by it.
Yeah, but Clark, they've never set up the Elimination Chamber where you could challenge any champion. The way they've always done it was whoever won the Rumble, whatever champion they're challenging for, the number 1 contender of the other title is determined in the Elimination Chamber.
Why can they not?
They've never mixed brands when they've done it in the past.
So
I'm just saying
they never have. Is that
no? I'm just saying they haven't.
Why
done
could
it
they not now?
I'm not saying they can't do it now, but they've never done it before.
Right. So that would
some
be
of the
logical
move. Of the last 2 years did.
But you didn't really get to pick. You didn't get to pick which champion you were going off after.
No, well, I mean, then it goes. Well, this comes back to logic.
But given the creative, like
Elimination Chamber is the winner faces Roman Reigns. Why is the winner of the Royal Rumble going? I want to face Seth Rollins
because he's easier to
beat. Makes no sense.
He's easier to beat.
That's the logic gap there.
No, I don't think so. He's an easier champion to beat. There's a guy that's been dominant for 3 years, and this guy with a bad back.
Wouldn't you want you would want the biggest championship there is, wouldn't you?
You want the
unless you're a heel
title.
Trying to get that victory.
So now we're having like a brand split debate. If the brand split makes sense and a Raw superstar wins, then logically they would challenge for that title. Unless storyline wise it makes sense to tell that story. I think if you write it correctly, it's not that hard to get there.
You're right. Right. Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's definitely an issue with the brand split in the draft, and there has been for a long time
from the beginning.
But you've got the Roman Reigns title is unique to the Rollins title, and it does devalue it in some sense. There's no doubt about it. And if you have a clean brand split, though, and you're a Raw superstar, it wouldn't make any sense to challenge for the WWE Universal title with Roman Reigns. So you can tell that story. That's neither here nor there, right? That's all hypothetical, but because where we're at in the present, it doesn't necessarily feel like that. But I would say that's the solution to a lot of these problems here. Now, I still do believe that the move for Cody Rhodes is to not win the Rumble back-to-back. That would be disappointing. It would hurt the integrity of the Royal Rumble. It would also, I think
it would hurt the integrity.
I think it would. I think it'd be a little bit like, oh well, we had a year to do it, and then it's going to be, and they didn't touch for the year, and I'm not saying that's neither here nor there as far as good or bad, but there's no rubbing shoulders, there's no teasing, there's no.
They have teased it. They had the face to face on that SmackDown.
They had the one face to face.
That one face to face. I would
all
say
different brands,
but there's been no allusion to the story being finished. It's been all Brock Lesnar tag team titles, Jey Uso. There was this one SmackDown encounter, and it just so far in my eyes, and I think that was the larger issue, or that was the issue at large, at least last year, as far as the build to the main event of WrestleMania. That was the issue at large. Was the storyline was that finish the story, and the story hadn't been told. And I don't want the same mistake to be made where we have the story right in front of our faces, right under our noses, because we're hardcore fans. We all know Cody's backstory. We all know Dusty. We all know all of that with Roman Reigns. We all know the whole thing. But on screen, it was never truly told. And this is where, and if Roman says that we're in the third inning, the night after that Mania, and we're walking into here, it better be like the fifth. I'm hoping, because I don't want us to rush to the ninth when we get past the top of the year, and this story needs to be told, because Rocky 2, the rematch was deserved and earned and a big deal, and there's room, I think, in this one for a story truly to be told, where not only is he actually doing the thing that he said last year, honoring his father by winning the title and doing all of that, he's earning it in front of us, because I can root for Cody Rhodes outside of kayfabe a lot easier than I can inside for some reason, because that it hasn't been told yet on screen, and it's close. It's closer. We're getting closer, but I think I need to see him chasing Roman Reigns in a way that I haven't seen him chasing Roman Reigns. It feels a lot more like he's out there being the most over star on Raw, with or without the tag team title. And that's where I would have a complaint.
Well, I mean, they have teased it. Michael Cole mentioned it to him on Raw like a couple weeks ago. They have teased it. They're on different brands, and Roman's not there that often. They have been building to it. I still think it's the match. I don't think the Rock match happens. I think it's Cody at this point.
I think it probably is too, although I don't know if that's the smartest decision necessarily at this point, because I don't know what Cody's done since Mania that's made me feel.
The Brock feud, the merch sales. I mean,
the Brock feud was solid, and if you look at the tag team title reign, that was about Jey Uso. realistically,
Realistically, who else are you going to put in that? I know we're going off topic, but like, who else would you really put in that position, merch wise, popularity wise? Cody's got to be the guy. There's nobody else.
I don't know, man. It's a fascinating thing,
It's
and
a puzzle.
let's get though into the next topic, which is Bianca Belair versus Io Sky women's title match. This is huge. We've talked a lot about on this very show the women's title picture. I was thinking Bianca Bailey is the move. I don't know, but we've got an awesome match here on Crown Jewel for the title. Do you think the title changes hands or no, Carter? What are your thoughts on this one?
So at the beginning of the show, I was going to have a critical take of this booking, but my ADHD brain got me thinking while you guys were just talking. And I actually think this is good. So either way this match goes, kind of, I think the criticism around Io's booking is that she is that good of a wrestler. And like, I mean, as a technical Japanese shoot style wrestler, she could be the women's champion easily. They just haven't built her up enough. If they give Io the win here, this will effectively build her up as much as they need to where it's like, oh, she deserves this title outside of help from Bailey, damage control. I mean, they easily could just have Bailey and damage control run some shenanigans, and then Io wins it that way. But I think honestly, either way it goes, either you give Bianca the title and then Io's kind of back to being how she was, and that would kind of be a shame. But Bianca is an absolutely fantastic wrestler. So, but I'm thinking, give the title to Io, have it be like, there's going to be some shenanigans from Bailey, but I think Io's going to keep the title. It's going to give her some legitimacy, and they're going to continue to build her up to be more of the star that she is, that she's capable of being.
I totally hear you there, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Io Sky really is a star. I loved when she jumped off of the stage at the In Your House show on NXT. It's one of my favorite spots of her of all time. I think she's an excellent performer. I do think she got dealt a bad hand of cards on this one, in the sense that Bianca is the bigger star in my eyes of the two, and she's been stuck in damage control in a sense where, I mean, arguably, Dakota Kai is almost as over as Io Sky at times when she's in the ring, and then you look at Bailey, and everyone knows Bailey's one of the 4 horsewomen, and she's that good. She's that good at what she does. So I think as great as Io is, she has been overshadowed. A win over Bianca would be outstanding. But I will say I do think Bianca goes over here, and we have Bianca Bailey up next. That's just my personal opinion. Let's move on, though. Speaking of women's title matches, we have the five-way title match. We got Rhea Ripley. We got Raquel Rodriguez. We got Zoe Stark. We got Shayna Baszler. And we have Nia Jax. Anthony, what are your thoughts on this one? Who walks out with the women's title on the Raw side here?
I don't think this is going to be a good match. I really don't. 5-ways are very chaotic to begin with, and I just really don't see this match breaking any ground of oh, this is a classic. I doubt it. I think Rhea retains. I really don't see anybody else in here winning. They may give it to Nia, but I think that would be a mistake. I think you keep the belt on Rhea.
Yeah, I get that. It's nice to see Ripley wrestling. It's just weird that she doesn't have any singles rivalries, basically since Mania. I don't know, Coby. Do you have thoughts on that one?
I mean, I think I said. I mean, quickly. I said this in the Raw review. It's Rhea Ripley's a face in this rivalry. It's no one cares about Shayna. No one cares about Zoe Stark. Some people care about Raquel, and everyone likes to hate Nia Jax. And Rhea Ripley's the biggest face in this rivalry, yet she's a manipulative heel as a part of the Judgment Day. It makes no sense. None of these women, aside from Rhea Ripley, deserves the championship reign. It's a match, and it's like, oh, we're gonna just run through the division, and then where does Rhea, aside from Becky Lynch, probably at WrestleMania, where does Rhea go from here? I have no idea. I don't know. I think it can be a decent or fun match, but I don't see anyone else winning other than Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, I hear you there, Carter. We got a comment here from Bobby Petito. He sees Zoe Stark taking the pin in order to protect Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, and Shayna Baszler. Do you see anything different than Ripley retains?
Well, I mean, if they built up Indy Hartwell a little better, then maybe Rhea could have a right. Sorry, Lowell. Yeah, no, I think everyone's basically right. The Tony Khan in me wants to say that Nia Jax is going to win, but no, that's just not going to happen. I mean, she's too good of a heel. Ray is, I mean, too strong. It's this is going to be. It's kind of a speed booking match. It'll probably be about 3 stars, 3.5 in the Tokyo Dome.
I love it. I love it in the Tokyo Dome as usual. We got a comment from Anthony Manzano here as well. He sees Raquel winning the title. I love the unique prediction, and I will give you your flowers tomorrow if that's the case on the post show. Please do tune in. But before that, let's break down this main event, guys. This is what we're all here for. It's the main event of the evening. And we've got L.A. Knight. Yeah. Against the tribal chief, the head of the table, Mr. Wreck everyone and leave himself, Roman Reigns. Man, I wish this was a little bit of a different scenario personally. I'm going to give my personal opinion first. And yeah, I think Reigns is going over. Yeah, no. This is going to be really quick, Coby. I was going to toss it straight to you. But I do appreciate the backstage camera cut there. Yeah, no, I think Roman Reigns is going over. And it sucks because I'm a huge LA Knight guy. And I wish that it was the other way around and that he'd have won that Money in the Bank briefcase. Coby, do you have a different prediction on this match or do you feel the same? What do you think about this?
I wish I did. That's the biggest thing is there's so many rivalries and so many scenarios. Roman Reigns probably could have lost to Drew McIntyre at Clash of the Castle. Roman Reigns could have lost to Sami Zayn in Montreal. Roman Reigns could have lost to Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. This is another one where I think Roman Reigns could. There's always that looming factor of he could. There's feuds where it's like, oh, they're not going to put the title on this guy. Like he's had matches with Balor. They weren't going to have Jey Uso win at SummerSlam. This is one of them. It's like I think they could. I think there's a lot of momentum with LA Knight, and you don't want to shoot that in the foot via a loss or a bad loss from Roman Reigns. But I wish I could sit there and say LA Knight has a chance of winning it because unless there's a shenanigans, like maybe Cena escapes the match and you have Jimmy Uso and you have Cena still involving himself in this match and LA Knight gets the victory because there's people evening the odds. I have no idea. I don't. But I wish I could sit here and say LA Knight's a credible person to dethrone him because he's a credible threat because of how over he is. He's the top star of SmackDown next to Roman Reigns. He is. He's the most over guy. He's the most over face on SmackDown. He's almost more over than Cody Rhodes on Raw. And he's doing a wonderful amount of work. And there's room to ask what's next after this. There's room to ask, do you protect him enough so that they run it back at WrestleMania? I don't know. I don't know where to go. The one thing I can say with certainty is they're not going to bury LA Knight. they're not going to do everything in their can to make him look like a joke. They're not. Roman Reigns is going to make him look great. He's probably going to take kick out of a BFT. They'll get that superplex spot that is always amazing for LA Knight to do. They're gonna. It's a high profile match that LA Knight will deliver in, but he's not. I don't think he's going to win. I just don't.
I agree with not gonna win, although I will say my hope is that he does not kick out of the BFT. I'm hoping it's a ref bump, personally. But I agree with so much of what you said there. Like outside of that one spot, you know what I mean? I hope Roman takes a BFT while the ref is down. Right. And I don't want to see him kick out of it. I think that would be definitely disappointing. Although I still agree with the prediction. I think Roman Reigns wins this match without question. Anthony, what do you think about this one?
I think this match is designed for one reason only, to give LA Knight the rub. He's not going to win. I knew that when they booked this. LA Knight's future is probably with the US title, at least for now. Roman's reign is going to Mania, and I don't think it's LA Knight. I've said who I think it is. It needs to make somebody, but I think Roman can make LA Knight look strong even in defeat. And I think that's what the intention is here, is to make LA Knight look like a bigger deal to the fans, bowing for a world title, getting close, but not winning it. But I don't think Roman's losing it at tomorrow night at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just hard to pick LA Knight. I would love to see it without question, but that's a hard leg to stand on. Carter, do you have any thoughts on this one as far as, is there a different outcome besides Roman Reigns goes over?
Well, there's a lot of logic being thrown around, so let me throw out some lack of logic. Just last week or 2 weeks ago, there was a big upset in this exact same country. We never thought it would be possible. I mean, it wasn't an actual upset, but I mean, I would much rather think that like Francis Ngannou would not go 10 rounds with Tyson Fury, but here we are talking about that. I mean, LA Knight said the quiet part out loud about Roman Reigns' title reign. I know we're enjoying the storyline and there's so many different ways it can go, but why not surprise us just to surprise us? I mean, and we just saw one of the biggest upsets. It wasn't an upset. I know the official decision went another way, but it really was a big win for the MMA world last week in Saudi Arabia. So why not? Why not go for another upset? It's Riyadh season. I'm going LA Knight just for the hell of it.
Well, you convinced me. It's LA Knight without question. Yeah. BFT 1, 2, 3 in Saudi Arabia puts the tribal chief to bed on this one without question. I'm in. Yeah. He's the megastar. He's the man. Strike while the iron's hot. Yeah. I'm 100% in on LA Knight. Walks out the Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world. I'm with you, Carter. I dig it. Why not? Yeah. But in all seriousness, what do we do? What do we do with Roman Reigns if he loses? Let's talk super hypothetical. Take yourself outside of the real world for a second, guys. Let's get really existential here. What in the world do we do with Roman Reigns if he loses the title? Anthony, I'm gonna start with you there. And we're not doing camera cuts.
Honest to God, I don't know what the hell you do with him. To be perfectly honest, I just don't see him losing. I don't know what you do with him because I think when he loses it, he may be gone for a while.
That does make the most sense. I think it'd be interesting actually to see him come back immediately afterwards and chase the same belt.
Yeah, but you defeat the purpose of that. I think he loses on a grand stage. It ain't the Saudi show.
Yeah. I don't know.
You don't build this thing for 3+ years to have him lose it on 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast in Saudi Arabia.
An obsession with the belt
I'm fine with that.
storyline
I'd be fine with that.
does make sense, though, I think. And Bobby Petito in the comments with Roman goes to Hollywood. That's very possible. Carter, what do you think about that?
I think Roman goes to Hollywood, and I was just drinking The Rock's new energy drink this morning. I think he becomes a spokesperson for that. Maybe gets involved in the XFL a little bit. And, I mean, he could come back and be great in middle card, pairing up with the Usos. I mean, there's a lot of places you can put him. It doesn't make the build up. It doesn't make sense, but
Yeah,
I'm sticking with my prediction.
I hear you. And Anthony Manzano in the comments with an awesome suggestion here too. Anthony, you are spot on with this one in my eyes. They've been setting up a match between him and The Rock the last 2 years, and that match really doesn't need a title. I don't know why people are horseshoeing the Universal title into that match. I agree with you there. Roman Reigns Rock doesn't need a belt. And I don't mind that in the least. Your last 2 comments I did see, by the way. I did show the Raquel comment, Anthony Manzano. I see Raquel winning the title. I respect that. But the other one was, I think Solo's gonna screw Roman, because it seems like they're building a story where Solo's getting tired of Roman and feels he's getting too big for his britches. Are britches or screw on the no list? That's my bad.
It's a
If
little
they
too late
are.
now.
Too late now. I just showed it. That's part of the problem there.
So is
Manzano,
HE double hockey sticks.
I don't know. I think we're good.
But
We're square.
I think the biggest thing is it all really depends on what happens in the Cena Sikoa match. If Cena's sticking around for, say, another month, yeah, he can win. Cena's not going to leave on a victory. And if Solo beats him, we've probably seen the last of Cena for a bit, maybe till Mania. But it kind of all depends on that. I think we can predict how his status after that match. But even then, like I don't want to see Sikoa versus dethrone Roman, and I don't need to see Sikoa be the reason Roman loses, unless the buildup is a 3-way with like Cody, Roman, and Sikoa is the one to beat Roman in that. It makes no sense. It doesn't. But it's just a weird scenario. What do you do with Roman Reigns? He probably takes time off, and if he returns, he's either going to finish the Bloodline story because he's off the top of the island of relevancy. I don't want to say he's with the commoners, but he doesn't have the thing that's kept him at the top. And there's a lot of storyline you can work with there. There is, I don't know how long he stays after that.
To your point, like
Enjoy
it would be nice
Roman
to
Reigns.
just see him finish that one, but it will be. I do think, to your point, like it's one of those things we got to enjoy while it lasts. And look at Gunther too. Same scenario. I'm looking at Gunther and I'm like, man, what he's done for the Intercontinental title is great, but can we get him in the world title picture? And that's a discussion I think for another day as a whole. But like, the Intercontinental title is great. It is. It's awesome. And AEW has done they main evented a show with the international right? Like they've done different stuff, and WWE did it back in the day with the Intercontinental belt and Wembley and all of that. It's not unprecedented, but it does seem weird thinking about the Seth and Gunther combo, right?
I think you can get a WrestleMania 6 out of it. Intercontinental champion against world champion, and he
Be
has
interesting.
both belts. I think that's the logical move. Yeah,
that'd be very fascinating. But guys, with that brings us to the end of the show. I mean, it's been a blast as always. Tomorrow we are at a different time. Coby, do you have that? Actually, do you know what the exact time is? Because I'm not sure.
I don't know the exact time because I don't know when the Crown Jewel
it's a funky one. So like if you watch Crown Jewel and then you go to our channel, will be on about 15 minutes immediately following the show. It'll be a wicked crew. On behalf of me, Coby, Anthony, and Carter, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't liked and subscribed already, please do. It helps us out immensely. And stay locked in on Wrestling Republic. It's going to be a fun weekend. We got Crown Jewel. We've got Collision. We've got all kinds of stuff to talk about this weekend. And I will talk to everybody soon. Thank you so much for tuning in as usual.